So, what if everything you thought you knew about happiness was wrong? What if it wasn't about comfort or ease, but about victory? Today, we're going to dig into this really fascinating and pretty challenging speech from 1975 by Sun Myung Moon that basically flips the whole idea of happiness on its head. Okay, let's just jump right in. This speech doesn't kick off with some feel-good, fluffy stuff. Nope, it starts with a dose of reality that, let's be honest, we can all relate to. But this isn't meant to be pessimistic. Not at all. It's just the starting line. It's the core idea this whole philosophy is built on. Life isn't smooth, and the first step is just to accept that. So the speech kicks off by painting this vivid picture of what it calls life's bumpy road, really establishing those unavoidable difficulties that we all face. And it shows you what this looks like over a lifetime, mapping out how our social circles kind of naturally get smaller over time. You know, when you're under 20, you're surrounded by family, but then you get married and you separate from your parents and siblings. As you get older, friendships can fade, and eventually you have to face losing the people you love. It's just the natural progression of things, but it's a journey defined by a lot of change and separation. To really capture this feeling of unpredictability, the speech uses this powerful metaphor of the ocean. You know how one minute it can be totally peaceful and beautiful, and the next, a storm rolls in and it's just angry and chaotic? Well, that's life. According to this view, just like nature, our lives are always in flux. Okay, so if life is this challenging, chaotic ride, where in the world does happiness even fit in? This brings us to the absolute core argument of the speech, which suggests a pretty radical idea. Happiness is victory. The speech puts two very different ideas side by side. You've got the conventional view, right? That happiness is about comfort, ease, things going smoothly, no problems. But the view presented here is the complete opposite. It argues that true happiness, that deep down feeling, is what you get after you've overcome a real difficulty. It's a prize you win, not just a state you fall into. And if you follow that logic, the definition of unhappiness becomes, well, brutally simple. It isn't just a bad mood or a tough day. Unhappiness is the result of being defeated by a challenge. It's failure. So this is the big shift in perspective. The goal isn't to try and avoid pain or difficulty. The goal is to face that difficulty head on and win, because that feeling of triumph, that's the only place you're going to find genuine happiness. This brings up a really key question. If life is a battleground between victory and failure, where is it actually fought? The speech has a pretty cool name for it, the razor's edge. This speech uses this incredibly potent image. Every single moment of your life, you're walking on the sharp blade of a sword. One step to the right, you find happiness. One step to the left, you fall into misery. And here's the most important part. The speech claims you are the one who decides which way to step. And to make this really concrete, it uses a simple, relatable example. Waking up at 4:30 in the morning. Ugh. With one perspective, you can see it as a total chore. You think, I have to get up again. It's such a bother. I'm so tired. This way of thinking, right there, puts you on the side of unhappiness. But you can choose a different perspective on the exact same event. You can see it as an opportunity. Hey, I can see the sparkling stars. I can feel the breeze on my cheek. I can drive on an empty road. And all of a sudden, the chore becomes this moment of peace and wonder. And this example just highlights the core idea perfectly. The situation outside didn't change at all, only the mindset inside. According to this philosophy, your way of thinking is the only thing that determines whether you're happy or miserable in any given moment. You hold all the power. So, if our mind is the key, how do we train it to consistently choose the path of victory? The speech offers two core virtues as a practical guide: patience and service. These are presented as the two secrets to winning the battle of life. The first, and it says the most important virtue, is patience. The second is to adopt a philosophy of service, to really believe that I exist for the sake of other people. The speech describes anger as a kind of self-inflicted poison, and patience is the antidote. You know, when someone provokes you, shouting back means you both lose. But by choosing patience, you win the internal battle against your own anger, and you create the chance to win that person's heart. The second secret, service, is all about humility. By putting others before yourself and serving them, you win their support and the support of the world around you. The speech holds up Jesus as the ultimate example, arguing that he won the hearts of humanity precisely because he sacrificed himself for them. And finally, the speech takes these individual virtues and connects them to a much larger collective mission, which it calls dashing toward the goal. This is about taking that mindset of victory and scaling it up into a whole philosophy for life. It's an unwavering commitment to a cause. In this view, defeat doesn't come from hardship or even death. It only comes from surrender. As long as you don't give up, you can't be defeated. To really emphasize that this is a collective mission, the speech wraps up with this metaphor of a train, with the speaker as the engine and his followers as the connected cars. It frames the struggle not as some lonely individual journey, but as a powerful, unified movement dashing towards a shared destination. So, in the end, this grand philosophy of struggle, service, and destiny is brought right back to a deeply personal and immediate challenge. It asks you to look at your own life, right now, on that razor's edge, because if every moment is in fact a choice, the only question that really matters is, what path are you choosing?